Mint has finally been released. So let's talk a little bit about our first impressions on her, if it's worth pulling or not, about the skills that she has, how her kit works. Finally, after release, we can understand it, and also, obviously, some damage number comparisons on Solo Red Museum, on Anomaly Interception, on Union Range, and a couple interesting team compositions. That said, before we start, hello the internets, welcome back to Waifus. I'm Sefhi, your favorite gambling addict. Today's topic, Mint first impressions. As usual, a first impression video after a few hours of testing when the banner releases. This is not the final review. Do not take it as such, only as initial impressions, right? So that's the first thing. The second is her kit, her skills, and a little bit of a quick TLDR on interesting things for her. First is her burst. She can only have dancing or singing, nothing else, all right? Like, you will always be switching between one or the other, giving your characters either attack or max HP recovery, right? So the HP recovery based on caster's final max HP. So those two things is the first thing. The second is that she cannot be used as an off-burst character. If she's used as an off-burst character, she has no kit. She loses everything. There is no singing, there is no dancing, there is neither of singing or dancing, so she loses also all of this, and also she would not be getting any of her buffs. So that's the first thing, right, to consider with her. You have to be bursting with her, and she will always be switching between singing or dancing. Second thing, T0 assets, all right? T0 asset, guys. It's heavy, this is BS. Yes, it is. It is BS, right? Now, that's for the first thing. The second that I want to talk about is the breakpoints for the skills. So skills are looking like it's not worth going past level 7 on any of them, because when we talk about skill 1, right, 38% attack of caster's attack, 1.5% HP recovery. At level 10 is a 45. It is a nice increase, but it's like a 7% increase, and it's like a 0.3% increase on the max HP. So a skill 1, you could be going for level 10 for the extra attack, but this is only every other rotation, so it's expensive for a 7% increase. But I think this skill is the highest increase for the offensive modifier. A skill 2, pretty similar. At level 7, we have a 17% crit rate, a 43% projectile explosion damage, and a 28% pierce damage. At level 10, 32-19, so both critical rate and pierce damage increase almost nothing. And then the projectile goes from 43 to 50%. So those are the biggest increases, literally. Your attack here, if you go to level 10, the projectile explosion damage going to level 10, and the same thing applies on her burst. Level 7, we have attack damage 25, maximum capacity 34, crit damage 38. But at level 10, it's a 45 here, a 25% on attack damage, right? It's like a 5% increase. It's not that big of an increase on the skills going from 7 to 10. I think we will be able to get away with the 7-7-10 when it comes to the skills. When I was testing, and so you guys can take this as a reference, she was a 7-7-7. I will most likely, let me see, yes, very good. I will be taking this to level 10, but like I said, a 7-7-7 works more than enough because there is not a huge increase on the actual numbers she is getting. Now, when it comes to how I would be building her at the moment, if you guys are interested, I would be going only for charge speed and max ammo. There is nothing else you really care. And to be fair, I wouldn't even bother re-rolling her. Like, I don't think this is a character you re-roll because there is no value on it. Whatever you get, it's fine. Just go for that, okay? If you can get some charge speed and max ammo, that's nice, but it's not necessary either. She will be able to keep 100% on her buffs, sometimes singing, sometimes dancing, depending on what she's doing and the rotation you currently are in, alright? So those are the first things. That's how I will be building her. Really basic beach build because there is no specific stats she would benefit from, even though, yes, of course, you could be going for like a full elemental attack build as usual to increase her damage and even her combat power, which will help with her buffs, but it's way too expensive for a support character. When it comes to the cube, at the moment, it's going to be your highest levels for the combat power and the stats, but resilience is the best one because she is a slow girl, 2-second reload time, right? That's for all of the basic stuff. Now that out of the way, let's actually jump into Figma, and we can talk about damage numbers and how she is feeling. I've been comparing her with a lot of the meta V2s, right? When we talk meta V2s, we talk about Crown, Nayuta, Bunny 8, and Grave. Standalone V2s. I'm not comparing her with mates or with bunnies or with, things like that because it wouldn't make sense. But this is a character that We can start with Union range and then we go into the specific bosses. Even in Union range, it's doing pretty well, right? We're talking about the Mint doing 11 billion on Rappi, 9 billion on Raven, switching to Crown, obviously 14-10. But if we are comparing with Bunny 8, it's a 12-9. It's not a huge increase from Mint, and my Bunny 8 has a higher investment as well, right? So that's pretty nice. And then with Nayuta, obviously 13-10 is still better, but it's pretty good. When it comes to Harvester, how fast it's fully clearing Harvester. My fastest team is still Crown on full auto, right? Clearing in 1 minute 51 seconds. With Mint, it goes up a bit to 2 minutes 19 seconds. Again, still clearing no problem, full clear on auto, minus the QTE. And then with Bathe, instead it's a 2:14, really close with Bunny 8 and with Mint, how long it takes us to fully clear Harvester. So again, competing with the characters that are considered the best in the game and having no issues keeping up with them. Then I went into Solo Raid Museum and I did multiple Solo Raid Museums. The first one was Babu, Wind Week. I was testing Scarlet and Liberalio, and as you can see, this is probably one of the best results. Mint giving enough buffs for Scarlet and Liberalio to be doing almost the same damage, 2.5, 2.7, 2.4, and with Crown 2.5. Obviously, not optimized teams. You can still optimize all of these way more. Crown is not getting the heals here. We could be replacing Pri. Like, there is a lot of changes you can do to improve these team numbers, but it's a good reference. And I was checking on Train Museum, which is weak to electric. And with Mint, I was doing 3 billion with Neon, 2.7 with Cindy. Obviously with Crown, this was a lot better for these girls. 1 billion extra damage on Neon, and not that much for Cindy, from 2.7 to 3.1. And then with Bunny 8, from 3 and 2.7, with Bunny 8 to 3.1, 2.7 still. Like I said earlier, really good when it comes to the percentage numbers. And then I was testing on Blacksmith, which is Water Week, to check her Pierce buffs with Snow White. And as you guys can see, 3.9 billion on Snow White. When I switch to Crown, it's a 4.6, way better. But if we check on Bunny 8, a 3.7, so being a little bit worse, but I think I missed a shot here, so it would be pretty much the same damage as my Snow White and Mint, right? 3.7, and with Grave, 4. Again, it's a 3.9 with Mint, a 4 with Grave, and then with Nayuta, a 4.3. So she can compete with the strongest buffers in the game. Now, would you be bringing her on your main team instead of Crown? No. Instead of Nayuta? No. But for raids, this can be a staple character, no problem. I was also checking because I'm curious, and it seems that Snow White teams might be benefiting from this a lot with Sui to actually be going for that crit build. Crit fishing is annoying, so unless you like crit fishing, even with Sui and the other characters, it's not really recommended because there's always going to be a lot of RNG in here, regardless of how much crit rate you can get. Like, it's never going to be perfect, right? But still, really good run. To 18 bill with my best run being 25 on Water Week with Sui and Snow White as my only DPS with Private in there. Now, she does kind of contradict Private because she increases max ammo, Private decreases, so they're going to be fighting back and forth, right? But it's fine, doesn't matter by today's standards, as long as you have pass rotations and your character is not bricked by having max ammo or max ammo reviews, you're fine. There is no issues on that regard. And that's basically everything, all of the runs we've been doing today, all of the bosses that I was checking at least, which was mostly Solo Raid Museum. I am curious on testing a couple extra iron teams, on testing more Sui, because it looks actually pretty fun to cope a little bit with that, with Kay, with the Snow White, with the Raven, all of those units, and then with just normal iron teams, because it feels she might be also really popular on iron. And you could even be pairing her with something like Helm Aquamarine, using Helm Aquamarine as your off burst, right? Because you still benefit from damage taken and from the CDR. So a pretty nice character. Would I be pulling for her, Sefhi? If you're a new player, I will say the limited characters are gonna be better because they are limited. We don't know if they will be coming back or if this is gonna be once every 2 years or what the fuck is going on, right? So limited units are better for the simple fact that we do not know when they will coming back. So if you care about FOMO, I will say get if, and you guys have the updated review on the channel and on the website already. If you don't care about FOMO, then I would try to get a copy of Mint, because for new players, having a really strong B2 is gonna make your life easier. If you started on the half anniversary and you got Anis, and now you're getting Mint, you are set when it comes to your team. If you also got Neon, you have everything you need, right? So if you can grab a copy, I will say it's worth it. For raids, 100%. If you don't care about raids, you're not a competitive player, then you can ignore it. When it comes to Tower for Tetra, this is gonna solely depend on who you have more investment into, right? Into your bunny or into your cat idol girl, okay? So it's simply who do you have more invested on. Both can benefit from this. The problem is that, it's not the problem per se. They are both peers bookers, right? So whatever B3 on Tetra, be it your allies or anyone else you want to use for this, they will benefit from both of them regardless who you decide to run. But that said, that's basically everything for the first impressions. Do let me know if you guys did pull for her, how did it go? And also let me know what team compositions you guys want me to check. I will be testing more when I wake up, and then you guys will have the usual basic build updated probably today on the website already, right? That said, no updated tier list for today. That will be tomorrow after we test more. Enough ranting, enough jumping. We are live every single day. You guys have the links in the description down below. Good luck with your pool dinner dates, and I'll see you in the next one.